Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now finally we do have deep dives for Galen and Quicksilver. So the first video I'm going to be trying to do my breakdown is going to be about the Quicksilver and his mechanics and some funky things about him that I noticed. Now he does have access to quite a lot of debuffs. Every time he dodges an attack, he's going to be placing a wither on opponent, so he will have a very potent effect, power control type of thing. He also has quite an easy access to slow. On top of that, he's going to be building up a ton of wither debuffs, and then obviously level 2s will also be inflicting trauma, which is going to be doing huge amounts of burst damage. Right, the first thing that I did notice about Quicksilver also is he has 13 hit basic combo, which is kind of a bit stupid. So regular 5-hit combo for most champions, or 6-hit combo. For Quicksilver is going to be 13-hit combo. So also, do not trust anything you see about combo meter in any of his videos. His combo meter is extremely inflated. Right, so let's start with his basic abilities. 100% chance to evade attacks when dashing or while stunned. This ability has a 15-second cooldown. Guaranteed critical hits ignore this evade and triggers the cooldown. So that automatically means that he is going to be a champion that will need some sort of specialized counter. Otherwise, he's going to be evading left, right, and center, and it's just going to be super frustrating. Because you can't parry stun him and hit him with a regular champion, and you can't, run in and try and intercept him. I'm sure you can slowly, patiently play around that ability, but ideally you just have a champion who bypasses evade altogether or has guaranteed critical hits. When dodging back, Quicksilver cannot be struck by attacks. Whenever he successfully dodges an attack, he inflicts a wither debuff, 35% potency, lasting 10 seconds, max 3 of them. So he basically completely reduces power gain there. Max 3. Dexterity Mastery is replaced, but points in it increase the potency by 5%. So you can start reversing opponent's power gain if you do max out dexterity. Even if you don't max out dexterity, it's still 120% reversal. With a single point in dexterity. When the opponent loses a bar of power, pause all trauma and wither debuffs for 10 seconds. Now that is quite nice. That's going to allow you to, obviously stack more traumas and also maintain your withers. Moving on, when dodging back, Quicksilver cannot be struck by attacks. Okay, so we read this line already. Then also the whiplash mechanic. Basic attacks have a 35% chance to inflict a whiplash debuff, dealing small amount of damage after 12 seconds. So it's kind of like Iceman's, not Cold Snap, but the other one that he has. Damage to 12 seconds. Dodging an attack, second medium refreshes whiplash. Dodging an attack and second medium refreshes the whiplashes. So the entire point is to stack a lot of these up and then basically double them up with level 2. The medium, light, medium combo, or reaching 50 stacks of whiplash, causes all the stacks to expire and burst into damage after 2 seconds instead. Delay pauses during the opponent's special. When Quicksilver would evade, or when the opponent dodges an attack, 50% chance to inflict a whiplash debuff. Okay, cool. When the opponent well-timed blocks, 1 whiplash is removed. So that is how you can get rid of whiplashes. If you do not have a purified champion, you just basically parry and they will kind of go away. Right. Now, the entire momentum mechanic. Dodging backwards grants 12 momentum charges and basic hits grant 1 charge. As a defender, gain 100% charges every 15 seconds unless the attacker gains 20 hits in the combo meter by the end of this duration. So you're going to want to be super aggressive when fighting this guy. Every 100 charges reduce evade cooldown by 1 second. At 300 charges, Quicksilver cannot miss and inflicts a slow debuff. So that is where you want to get very quickly. So he's going to be a very good miss counter, and obviously dealing also with unstoppable and evades. At 600 charges, he can trigger the parry mastery against projectile attacks. At 900 charges, enter terminal velocity mode, increasing the dodge invulnerability window by 33% and retaining all the momentum abilities for 10 seconds while active. Getting charges instead pauses this thing. And yeah, so that's kind of how he works. It's a bit tricky to figure out exactly how to play him. There are some more shenanigans he can do when his personal stun effects are inflicted on opponent. He kind of slows down time and starts bashing at them. But the main rotation seems to be to basically build out quite a lot of these whiplash charges, drop your level 2, double them up. That will cause them to basically burst up and inflict a huge amount of physical damage. Each individual hit damage, obviously, on this champion will not look great, because again, he has like 13 hits in his basic combo and all of his special attacks are multi-hit. But we're gonna have to wait and see how his actual damage output looks like and how long the fights take and things like that, because this is arguably a champion that's pretty much the hardest to deduce his actual damage output just by looking these deep dives. Terminal, okay, and we have a signature ability here now. Terminal velocity durations increased by 5 seconds and wither max stacks increase by 3. So I do think that this ability is quite important because it can significantly improve his ability to control opponent's power gain. When 60 stacks or more of whiplash expire at the same time, inflict stun debuff for 5 seconds, and also while the opponent is suffering from a personal stun, their combat power rate is reduced by 50% and striking the opponent with light and medium attacks locks them in place and increases Quicksilver speed. That animation kind of like looks very dopey, so it does seem to me that the Awakened ability is going to be, you know, extremely beneficial. I definitely want to get this champion awakened. Also, another thing that I definitely noticed is that for deep dive video, his PI looks extremely high, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's like the highest prestige champion that is in the game. And we're gonna have to wait and see that until obviously all of the details of these champions have been released, hopefully tomorrow. But yeah, he did seem to have higher PI in regular fights than Valkyrie did without class advantage, so I do have quite high suspicion that he's going to have a monster prestige. And that is kind of majority gist of Quicksilver. Basically, build up your momentum, build up these whiplash charges, and then detonate them. Meanwhile, you can completely bypass miss. You have slow on for pretty much the entire fight, and you can also access trauma and withers, and it seems like a very, very, very solid champion. Also, he does have some cool synergies. Number one, with Quicksilver, increase the duration of non-damaging debuffs by 20%. It's kind of neat. For Black Bolt, personal stun debuff duration increases 25%, and all attacks are guaranteed critical hits against stunned opponents. So another synergy for Black Bolt. Obviously, Black Bolt kind of needs more help than that. But let's check out synergy with Ultron and Hawkeye. When 50 or more whiplashes expire at the same time, inflict a non-stacking special concussion debuff, reducing ability accuracy by 50% during specials. It's kind of nice. It's nothing huge, I'd say. Hawkeye, if the opponent is unstoppable, Hawkeye heavy attacks cannot be interrupted. Again, kind of nice. But this one, Ultron Prime gains 600 critical damage rating while the opponent is bleeding. I think it's quite nice considering that you do have access to guaranteed crits and all that. So, you know, for Ultron, it does seem quite nice to me. Let's move on to maybe Avenger. Increase block proficiency to Quicksilver. That's not bad at all. Captain America Infinity War, increase the potency of Fury effects by 25%. Neat. Thor Ragnarok, 75% chance to purify non-damaging debuffs. That's kind of good, but again, how many of us use Thor Ragnarok daily? And then Iron Man Infinity War, while the opponent is suffering from an armor break, they're also inflicted with a passive cowardice. It just means that Iron Man Infinity War is going to be an option against Kitty Pryde for these fights again, because that removes all of her prowesses. Now, Breakout, Quicksilver, whiplash damage increased by 25%, not bad. Then Magneto, Professor X, Wolverine, and Beast reduce the opponent's Purify ability accuracy by 100% for 3 seconds after a well-timed block. Now, it's quite nice. I quite like these synergies. It makes it easy to deal with, like, you know, Kingpins, Maulmans, Agent Venoms, whoever else, or just the Tenacity nodes. So it's kind of cool. I like that. Moving on to the next one. Quicksilver gain 8.3 degeneration resistance for every 100% 100 momentum charges, so you can gain up to like 900 momentum charges, which would give you massive degen resistance, which I think is quite a useful ability here. Would make him much better option against none of these mystic degen champions. I do quite like that. Also, Wiccan gaining about a power grants Fury buff, increasing attack rating by 20% for 10 seconds. think that is quite cool too. Not the worst, not the best, quite decent synergy for Weekend right there. And these synergies are brutal. These synergies are crazy. I can't wait to test this out. First special attack after reaching max momentum charges has its attack power increased by 70%. You know, that's kind of nice for Quicksilver. It's definitely not bad. But Skull Twitch, when gaining 1 instability, gain a prowess buff, granting 50% special attack damage for 15 seconds. Just so you guys know, basically dropping level 1 gives you 2 instability, dropping level 2 gives you another one. Obviously, she has access to her own prowess and all that. So this is just going to further supercharge her special attack damage, which I can't wait to test out. I think it's going to be absolutely massive damage increase. And also with Classic Scarlet Witch, when Veil of Fortune triggers, 50% chance to gain a prowess buff, granting 100% special attack damage for 15 seconds. Veil of Fortune is basically her buff gaining abilities or debuff placing abilities, so it does trigger quite often. So I do think this will also increase Scarlet Witch's damage quite significantly. I can't wait to test this bit out in particular. So that's pretty much all there is about Quicksilver. He's definitely a unique character. I think he's going to be a very good character as well, because he does have ways to pause his debuffs, including trauma, so it means you probably can stack them in longer fights. You can do massive amounts of burst damages, like here we can see he does a burst for like 300k or something like that. And combo meter is going to go wild, so it's going to be very unique, it's going to be very interesting. And obviously this is still very, very early on, so he might turn out to be bad, or he might turn out to be much better than he looked here as well. We have very little information to work with, but all things considered, he looks extremely unique and also extremely fun. So I'm personally quite excited. The last disclaimer is obviously keep in mind that he is a part of balancing program, so if he does turn out to be too OP or something like that, then Kabam has reserved the right to balance him as well. So keep that in mind whenever you spend your money and or time trying to obtain this character when he comes out initially. Right, all that being said, let me know what you guys think about Quicksilver. I really do want to mess around with this guy personally, but yeah, I'm gonna catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next